Hello! After education and training, we now start a range of lectures and mini documentaries on research, innovation and experimentation. As a start, I will discuss sustainability research, research that contributes to a more resilient world. Let's start with the pathology of sustainability challenges to see what research can focus on. Firstly, sustainability is about people, the social element. It consists of aspects as behavior, social safety, diversity and inclusion, livability and more. Secondly, there is of course the planet, the ecological factor of sustainability. That refers to objectives presented in our first MOOC, Sustainability in Practice. Climate adaptation, carbon neutrality or energy transition, circularity and of course biodiversity. This ecological element of sustainability contains solutions that lead to the aforementioned goals. Important to know is that it is not restricted to technology. Also the use of space and time are important factors. Improvement in all the three dimensions leads to a larger sum than concentrated on one alone. Thirdly, there is prosperity, or the economic element of sustainability. This contains aspects such as financial sustainability, costs and benefits, financial risks and taxes. Perhaps you know that these three factors, people, planet and profit, are the triple P that Elkington wrote about. Finally, I dare to add policy, the governmental element of sustainability. This includes norms and values, rules and regulations, laws and responsibilities. Good to shortly stand still with innovation. It is often interpreted as something technical, but innovation is also possible in the social, economic, even governmental domains. Then we must acknowledge that results of research are applicable to different stages. With technology, these are called the technology readiness levels. Theoretical and laboratory research are forms of conceptualization. The laboratory, field lab and living lab are forms of experimentation. And finally, the living lab stands closest to application in real life. In this MOOC, we will pay extra attention to the research done in field labs and living labs. Now, I will give you some examples of research projects in which I was involved. I will shortly show them to you to give you an idea of the variety of sustainability research. Most of these projects are focused on application in practice. The first example is Climate-Proof Cities, which focused on climate adaptation of urban areas for ecological and social reasons. The image shown here refers to heat reduction in neighborhoods. Energy potential mapping was a term I coined for the analysis and depiction of renewable energy in a certain area in order to get to an energy-informed spatial plan. This scheme shows how this was done step by step. We used that method in the Dutch northern province of Groningen. This map is an overlay of the greatest solar, wind, soil, biomass and heat potentials in that area. Related to that study was the work we did to map the heat potentials of the Netherlands, in order to understand where we have abundance of heat and where shortage appears. Regarding circularity, we worked on a project dealing with European airport regions. We studied possibilities to entirely close resource cycles or by developing enterprises around an airport. That research also had an economic element, by looking at the economic impact of our proposed interventions. Another circularity project looked at the provision of food, water and energy in cities, and if these resources could be managed in a combined way. A form of social sustainability research is to work on serious gaming. That implies playing games with stakeholders of a certain studied area on serious matters, in order to get them engaged or enthusiastic. A methodology to include many aspects of sustainability is the Roadshow. That is an intensive, stakeholder-engaging workshop of 1 week, where interventions are proposed for an urban area: technical, social and economic. We originally held 10 roadshows across Europe. This example was a roadshow held in Amsterdam, in a socially challenged area that required energy transition, but we connected that to social and economic improvements. Here you see how an intervention into the neighborhood improves and enlives the street. Finally, I'm showing an example of linking education to research and experimentation, the Solar Decathlon project of Moore. But this project will appear in a later lecture of mine. I hope these examples were inspiring for you or your organization to conduct research in a sustainability area of your own, or to start testing innovation, either technical, social, economic or governmental, in practice. Let me finish by saying, know what you are studying, experimenting and contributing to. See you next time. Bye.